Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, that's the translation of the whole lecture. Just like this morning we said Uttara, that's the answer. Okay. So you already gave the whole lecture. You can say it's a transcendental joke. Translate? Lecture, upanyasam, come on. Even I know that. Don't be lazy. When you speak Tamil, speak Tamil. Okay, said it briefly. Vasudev Datta Prabhu asked me to, this evening, speak my message to the devotees of Sri Lanka, which might seem a little out of place when we only have a few devotees here. It's not like we've got a whole stadium full of devotees. Anyway, I thought I'd start by saying, how did I end up here anyway? How did I get here in Batticaloa, which I'd never heard of until a short time ago, relatively short time ago. Everything's relative. Yeah. Well, the first thing is, how did I end up in this Krishna conscious movement at all? Well, that's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, to put it briefly. I'm here because of Sri Devan. Where is he? Not here at the moment. Reading the books. He should come, isn't it? Who was a young man from Sri Lanka who wanted to take to Krishna consciousness. He went to the temple in Colombo, but he thought he'd rather join somewhere else for reasons. He thought he'd like to get more association, more training somewhere else. And so he came to India and visited various ISKCON centers in Tamil Nadu and also Mayapur. And eventually became satisfied to join at ISKCON in Vellore, which at the time consisted of a rented building about the size of this room, and there was a Kinchan Krishna Prabhu and Shama Chandra, and I don't think anyone else at the time.
Krishna Prabhu?
Ramkesha was there at the time? Yeah. So eventually Sri Devan got initiated by the name Sri Damodar Das. Now you can understand. And he came back to Sri Lanka and started various preaching activities and brought a Kinchan Krishna Prabhu here quite often also. There's another young man who was in Vellore from Sri Lanka. So there's a link there. Some link. And after some time I suggested that Vasudeva Datta Prabhu also come here. And I'm very happy that I have come here. In many ways it's like India but better. Not so degraded like India is. So there's very good scope for spreading Krishna consciousness here. So my message, what is my message? My message is the same as Srila Prabhupada's message, which is the same as Krishna's message. And there are many sutras or short statements in Shastra which can be guides for our life. The essence of them all is Krishnate kila cheshta. all endeavors should be for Krishna. Another is Janma Shartha Kari Karo Para Upaka. This is the guide for all devotees. The guide. One should make one's own life meaningful, successful, and perform welfare activities for others. And we can do that by following another one. This is said by another sutra that's said by Srila Prabhupada. My message to the devotees of Sri Lanka is, turn your cell phone off. Maybe forever. Go to the farm, grow your own food, and turn your cell phone off forever. Everyone here who hasn't yet turned off their cell phone, please do so immediately. So, famous saying of Srila Prabhupada, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Just like we were just now out on Harinama Sankirtan. So by chanting Hare Krishna we become purified. What is that? Krishna Nama Mantra Eto Shobhav Jai Jape Tare Krishna Upajai Bhav. It is the nature of the chanting Hare Krishna that by chanting our feelings for Krishna arise. Krishna Nama Maha Mantra. And when we go in public and chant Hare Krishna, well, that's preaching also. Everyone should preach Krishna consciousness. And everyone can do so, even if you're not a super Maha Bhagavat, or you're not super big Pandit. By chanting Hare Krishna among the people, you please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and people, they also think, oh, this is very nice. Of course, there are some demons who think, oh, this is not very nice at all. But I don't think there are hardly any demons like that in Sri Lanka, is it? Hardly. You don't find. And it is our experience, when I say our, I mean all over the world, the devotees, that even demons who oppose this chanting, if they're repeatedly exposed to it, they also start to soften up. So my message is, same as everywhere. Take Krishna consciousness seriously and preach, spread it. Work hard for Krishna. This movement was spread by Srila Prabhupada's personally working very hard, and he inspired his disciples to do so also. Work hard means it's not drudgery. Drudgery means you're working and you hate it, but still you have to do it. But it's very blissful to work for Krishna. Same time, we have to see our basis in Krishna consciousness is our chanting, reading, associating with devotees. Tomorrow there'll be an initiation ceremony. How many here are scheduled for tomorrow initiation? Please raise your hand. Some of the ladies also have. So, we want you to take this very, very seriously, because we often see that devotees, they get initiated, but then afterwards they don't follow properly. I think there are many devotees like that in Sri Lanka. They're initiated, they're devotees, but they don't chant 16 rounds daily, for whatever reason. So be very serious about this. If you're going to take initiation, you take a vow, stick to it. And chanting means we have to put some 16 rounds, means we have to take some time for that. You may try to just rush it in because we're so busy with so many things. But somehow in the middle of our busy lives, we have to put time aside for chanting clearly and properly. It's not that you can just finish 16 rounds in 20 minutes or something like that. You're all very fortunate, good souls to be taking up Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada stated that whoever takes to Krishna consciousness, they must have taken to it in a previous life also. That's also stated in Bhagavad Gita. Tatra tang buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam. One takes a birth in a family which is suitable for practicing Krishna consciousness and revives the consciousness of his previous life. We're just talking about you. We're missing you. Vanagam. So you may think, I was devotee in my previous life, I must be a great personality. Well, another way of looking at it is that, I had the opportunity in my previous life, but I missed it. I didn't take it seriously enough. This half verse which I spoke is Krishna speaking in Bhagavad Gita about the yogi who didn't properly finish his course of spiritual activities. In this regard, I would like to relate to you something that was related to me by a godbrother of mine, who heard this from another godbrother of mine. So this one godbrother, he had some mystic siddhis, it seems, from previous life. There are some people like that. Especially we find them in India more than in other places. I mean, they're not on every street corner, but there are such people. So anyway, this one devotee told this other godbrother who told me, he told him that 2 lives ago he was a sannyasi and he was living in his guru's ashram and he was very close to perfection. But, V-U-T. He became entranced by a female and left the ashram. After some time he thought, what am I doing? And came back to his guru. His guru forgave him, but still there was some burden of that sinful activity. 50% still, or half of it was still with him. Then he went to the Triveni, he left his body in the Triveni, which indicates that he deliberately left his body there. The Triveni is the confluence at Prayag, Allahabad, of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati rivers. A sannyasi who falls down with a woman is supposed to leave this, after committing that offense, he should go to Triveni and drown there, and that way he can get free from the offenses. So then this godbrother said he took birth in Gandharva Loka. You all know what Gandharva Loka is? It's a planet of lower demigods who are very beautiful, sing very beautifully. So he was there for 1,000 celestial years, equivalent to 360,000 human years. And in Gandharva Loka he had the opportunity to enjoy with many beautiful women. And then he took birth here on this planet in this Kali Yuga. So he has the sannyas tendency, but also the tendency to enjoy beautiful women. So he's very careful. He's not in a rush to take sannyas. The tendency for sannyas, let me renounce the world, and the tendency to enjoy beautiful women, they're obviously completely opposed. Several times over the years I've heard him say, I made an offense to my guru in a previous life, this time I've got to make it, no more offenses. So this is how we should take our initiation vows. We are here to practice Krishna consciousness, to come out of this material existence. It's a great opportunity and we should take it with full seriousness. We all have the opportunity to go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. It's understood that we all have various anarthas or impurities within the heart. And we have to be realistic about that. It's not that everyone can just immediately be a completely pure devotee. But we can take this opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness very seriously and go to Krishna. We don't have to stay in this material world. We can be. You see, here's Krishna. There's so many pictures here. Narasimha Dev, Radha Krishna. Here's Krishna dancing on Kaliya. We can go. How much time will it take? Well, we can be with Krishna right now. Chant Hare Krishna with full faith, and we're with Krishna. So that's the message to all the devotees. Take it very seriously. Be with Krishna and bring it to others. We can always meditate on Srila Prabhupada, on his completely pure desire to simply bring Krishna consciousness to everyone. He also blessed this land of Sri Lanka with the touch of his lotus feet, although he didn't actually do any preaching here. But of course he wanted preaching very much here. He wanted preaching everywhere. When he sent devotees here, he told them to, at that time Srila Prabhupada was very much focusing on Varnashram. He said, you establish Varnashram here. So, do it. The Tamils are more fortunate than the Sinhalese because they have Prabhupada's books already in Tamil. In Sinhalese they're not prepared yet. So study these books. There's nothing like them. Just as we were on the Hainam Sankirtan, we went past Christian church, and then just past that there's a little Hindu temple, looked to be a small temple but many gods. Typical Hindu temple. Then on the other side of the road coming back there was the Ramakrishna Mission, Shivananda Ashram, and there was something else, something for humanity, which is probably one of those organizations which is Christian but pretending not to be Christian. Vimoksha, they're pretending to be just for everyone, but actually they're Christian converters. So it's nice they all have some idea of God or religion. In that sense you could say it's nice. But there's nothing like Prabhupada's books. Even you today, you were telling me about, you're reading Vedanta Sutra commentaries of Madhva and Ramanuja, but you couldn't have understood a word of them unless you'd read Prabhupada's books. And for most people, if we were to distribute to them Ramanuja and Madhva's commentaries of Vedanta Sutra, they wouldn't have a clue. They couldn't even begin to understand what it's all about. But the same teachings are given in a very practical way in Srila Prabhupada's books. Whatever you need to know to become fully perfect is right there. So read them, distribute them, live by them, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Do you have any other points that you think I should add to this? I mean, there could be unlimited things said, but did you have anything particular in mind?
Maybe sometimes we are it seems that almost without any reason there is some envy.
Without any reason there is envy among devotees.
Among God brothers.
Among God brothers.
Unnecessary. Just
unnecessary. Yeah, it's there is a cause for that. Yeah. It's called Maya. Maya means that for no reason we're stupid. For no reason we forget Krishna. And that manifests in various forms, such as kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaya, lust, envy, lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride and envy. We may think, well, why is the reason? But the ultimate reason is that just we're in Maya, that's all. Become purified. Chant Hare Krishna. We're not the doer. We're simply, as Prabhupada prayed, to be a puppet in the hand of Krishna. Anything else? All right. Short, sweet, to the point. Can you translate that? Short, sweet, to the point.
In this kind of situation, like the new place, we want to keep that spirit alive. And
keep the spirit alive, the new spirit. I spoke about that yesterday, didn't I? To you. That in the beginning, everything's all fresh and enlivening, and later on it may become a bit dull.
So, in places like India,
Okay.
So, where we come from, India is all, this one is well developed and many devotees, and so it's quite.
This is a personal thing that you're facing. This is not so much for the local devotees. Yeah, it's a challenge for you. Good for you.
So I'd like to keep that your personal suggestion for personal advice, how we can keep all this.
How to keep what?
The spirit.
Struggle? Yeah, we're so lucky to have the opportunity to struggle for Krishna. Otherwise you can go to some ashram and develop a big belly. Ramba Santosham. Srila Prabhupada used to quote some Bengali saying, big monkey, big belly, Lanka jumping, melancholy. That was the translation he gave. Talking about Sri Lanka here. In other words, the big monkeys may show, I'm very powerful, but when it came to jumping to Lanka, they couldn't do it. Only Hanuman could do it. Boro banga, boro pet, Lanka dingiye hoya hate. Should be something like that in Bengali. So, yeah, you're lucky. In retrospect, you may see how lucky you are to have that opportunity. In future, you may realize how lucky you are to have the opportunity to struggle for Krishna. You can meditate on Srila Prabhupada's early struggles. No one was listening to him. Whatever difficulties you face, it's nothing compared to what Prabhupada faced. Srila Prabhupada himself later told the devotees that because he had a return ticket on the Sindhya steamship company to America, time to time he would go to the office and see, well, when is the next boat going? Several times he thought, I'm not making any progress here, let me go back. But then one time the official in the office, who presumably was an American, said to him, Swamiji, you're coming here again and again and asking when is the next boat, but you don't go. But you came here with a mission and you shouldn't go back until you've fulfilled that mission. Who is this man to speak to Prabhupada? But somehow Krishna spoke through him. And we're so grateful that Prabhupada went through all of that and gave us this opportunity. Otherwise we couldn't be here. So those who are able to take up Krishna consciousness because of your efforts, you can see that will develop in due course of time. Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada's universal method, chanting Hare Krishna, reading the books, distribution of prasadam, it has made changes affecting all the these communities, whether it will be Tamil community or North Indian community, they have got changed and they have taken up Krishna consciousness. We are seeing this similar community people in Middle East, in some countries also. As we said, still our methods, we are not able to implement.
It's about the Sinhalese.
Yeah, in some Middle East countries. Still it has not reached there though.
Well, we haven't got the books in Sinhalese. We need to get the books. If you're going to bring in the Sinhalese, we need to have books in their language. You have to make some effort to reach them. This Harinam Sankirtan will attract everyone. There is somewhat of a cultural barrier in as much as they don't want to follow something which they think is Tamil. Anyway, definitely some communities are more difficult than others. Our movement has been, or whatever success it's had, we've seen that it's mostly among people of Hindu, Christian and Jewish backgrounds. We haven't had much success among Muslims and Buddhists. My personal experience in Thailand is people are very nice, but very difficult to communicate Krishna consciousness to. Similarly in Japan. I heard in China they're making many devotees, but one reason, of course, Chinese culture is not exactly Buddhist. It's more an amalgam of Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism. But anyway, the communist rule, they largely, they deliberately destroyed much of the culture, so they don't have much of any traditional culture. But in general, it has been seen to be more difficult to communicate Krishna consciousness to people of Buddhist background. But it can be done, it must be done, and it will be done. But you all have to do it. You distribute the books in Sinhala. Of course, there's a very big Tamil community here that you can more easily reach out to. So there are so many towns and villages to be reached. So work hard, do what you can within your capacity. And even we have to go beyond whatever we think our capacity is. Pray for the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this land. He wants to give, but he works through his devotees. So become an instrument in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's worldwide Sankirtan mission. Anything else? Yeah. Hand on mouth. You can tell him afterwards. You know the story why I always tell people this?
I always feel very good when I stay in temple ashram. But when I go out, especially I want to go to India for some studies. So when I go out, I always think of ashram and this conscious only I have. Why it is like that?
It's because you're meant to live in the ashram.
He's saying that like a young boy loves a girl. I love this ashram.
Yeah, that's because you were in an ashram in your previous life. But you went to find a young girl instead. There's a verse by Rupa Goswami in this regard, Srila Prabhupada used to quote, but I don't know it. Anyway, the purport is that just Rupa Goswami is praying to Krishna, just as a young boy is naturally attracted to a young girl, may my natural attraction to you be awakened. You can tell afterwards, you can tell him. You know the story of why I tell everyone as they put their hand on their mouth to go and wash it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell him afterwards. I told it so many times. I don't tell it again. Well, I guess I could do it, but you tell him afterwards. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.